Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we're going to talk about 5 tips that every single Taric player needs to know. Now, the reason I wanted to put this video out is because he's actually a little bit of a pocket pick of mine due to his ability to really supplement hyper carries quite well when you are in an elo where you can rely on them. He works extremely well with things like Master Yi. He works extremely well with things like Kog'Maw, and the whole Israel meme, and but just you want to play him generally with someone that is a very high value target. And if you guys are new to the channel, my name's Lofit. I do educational content. I do guide video tip videos like this, and also stream. If you want to hang out, play some flex, you can join the Discord. It's going to be in the description down below. Always open to feedback and critique. If you have any comments, I always get around to those. You can just comment down below in the section as well. So without a further ado, let's jump into the top 5 tips that I think every single Taric player needs to know. Alright, let's jump into the first tip. Now, I think this is one of the really important parts. When you are in lane phase, say you're in the bot lane and you have a bit... let's just teleport down there. Maybe it's a little bit better. Okay. So we got an ADC. We got another enemy support. Then we got our Ezreal. And then... when you are under no threat and you're not getting focused, what I want you to focus on yourself is maximizing your autos from your passive, giving you cooldown reduction. Now, you can, let's just attach that real quick. And after you heal, see how it just makes the cooldown go back extremely quickly. So this is why he is really good with people that just are hyper carries and just need a little bit more defensiveness. So always look when it is appropriate and you're under very little threat to maximize your autos. Obviously, they do a pretty good amount of damage. I am level 18, but that is 130 extra bonus damage with very minimal armor. So always look to maximize your autos. One thing to be careful with, though, in lane is the mana. This heal is really expensive. So mana items are going to be pretty important when you are playing Taric, but always make sure he has great base damages as well. So people are going to underestimate you a lot. Just be very careful with your mana consumption and maximize your auto attacks. And that will wrap up tip number 1 with Taric. Alright, let's jump into tip number 2 with Taric. He is quite impactful in the team fights with his ult. Giving people an AoE invulnerability is one of the strongest, in my opinion, support ults. But it does come at a price. There's a 2.5 second delay, and they do have to be in these circles. So some things I want you to look at before using your ult. The worst thing that can absolutely happen is they just disengage. They just run away when they see it coming down. So the best way, in my opinion, to use it is when a gap close or a commitment is made. Maybe your Malphite ults and forces a team fight, or maybe the enemy Maokai starts throwing out his roots. You can match that with your ult. So always look to use it in a way where you know a fight is going to happen. Do not be that Taric that just ults while running in with the E and trying to hit someone, and then maybe you miss the stun or something and your ult's coming down and the whole team runs away and then re-engages on you without your ult. Then you're so much less useful. So just make sure when you are using your ult there has been some sort of committal in the team fight. Also, another quick thing with the ult, it is amazing for tower diving if you are not using it already. You can take like a tower shot or 2, then put your ult up, and then you can start beating away at the people under the tower. Just really, the thing that separates a good and a bad Taric player, in my opinion, first of all, is the E direction and how it spawns from 2 different areas, but the ult timing really can just change the flow of any single team fight. Always make sure that you are just practice makes perfect. Look to use it in different scenarios and see what the most beneficial way is. And again, if you have any comments about that, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below, and that will wrap up this tip. All right, and let's jump into tip number 3. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. I think it might be a little bit, some people might disagree, but I think that Taric really cannot have a cookie cutter build. You have to really build for game state with Taric. I see a lot of people fall into these tracks of like, oh, I need to build this item, this item, this item on Taric. Every single game, no matter who's doing well, what team's winning, look and just analyze at what is happening in the game. If you have a character or a teammate, say your ADC does really well, you want to protect him, you want to enhance him as much as possible. You can go in Ardent Sensor, you can go with Zeke's, you can go in Athenes that are all very focused on single target. Say your ADC doesn't do well, you guys get stomped out in lane. You want to focus more on AoE, team fighting later in the game. Maybe you want to grab things like the Locket, or you want to grab things like Redemption. So always just kind of see how the game is going and build for it. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, say they have an assassin that keeps jumping on you over and over and over again. The Kha'Zix is just trying to focus you every single time. Maybe you need to go Ninja Tabbies to be able to survive it if you're getting focused. Really build for the game state. I say this in a lot of my videos, but if it just reaches like a couple new people every single video that are interested in the champion that I cover, it's gonna just make your gameplay skyrocket. It's going to really help your overall just ability to climb if you are critically thinking about what items you're buying and why you should be buying them. Experiment with different items, and really, really do not underestimate Zeke's. Zeke's is such a great item. It gives armor, Taric likes. It magic resist, everyone needs magic resist. Mana, amazing for him. Cooldown reduction, great. A slow around him, giving his ally more damage. I mean, Zeke's, you couldn't ask for a better item for Taric. It's almost like, how Rakan builds Zeke's a lot. I think Taric should build Zeke's a lot as well. So if you have any questions about particular items, you can comment down below and I'll help you out with that. So that will wrap up this tip. All right, and let's jump into tip number 4. Now, with Taric just as a champion, a lot of people see him like he has armor scalings, he builds a little bit tanky. The biggest mistake I see new Taric players is they play him like a frontliner. He is not a frontliner. You should not be playing him as this big tank. You should not be playing him like an Alistar. You should not be playing him like a Braum. Those are two extremely tanky supports that can consistently frontline. Taric's strength relies in his ability to temporarily frontline with the ultimate and then augment ADCs and people around him. So the longer the game goes on, the team fight goes on, the more you're going to win by attrition because you have shields and heals. Do not throw your life away by just being in the front and getting hit by AoE splash damage, or maybe an ADC starts focusing you because you're out in front. So try and find a nice balance in the team fight, maybe in the middle, and then going aggressive when you're E, or just throwing your E or your WE on someone who is engaging. Do not treat Taric like a tank, or a true tank. Just really be situational with him. This is something where it's just going to come from practice and experience, but just be very mindful on how many deaths you're accruing on Taric, and you shouldn't be taking too many deaths because he's a relatively safe pick, and he has a lot of ways to escape with his stuns and then heals and shields and invulnerabilities. That the longer you can survive and be in team fights, the better it is for Taric. Don't be that guy that just throws away his life at the beginning. If you guys just disregard all the tips except this one, I would say this is the most important part. Do not treat him like a tank. There was a while in the LCK when Taric was meta where they would just they were just building tier and Ardent Sensor in the Ardent Sensor meta, and they would just play him like a mage, like in the back line, like a mage support, where he would never even come close to the front line. So just really be mindful when you play Taric. He is not Alistar. And that will wrap up this tip. Alright, and let's get into tip number 5. Now, if you are a true Taric main, if you love Taric, you love playing him, he can actually work in the top lane. Now, is it the most effective thing in the world? no, it's not the best top laner. It's not going to be able to just crush meta top laners, but he is an extremely effective fighter in the top lane sometimes. I used to have this video up on my channel where it was just kind of highlights of me playing Taric top and like beating like a Lowy and Riven and Garen. But if you want to give him a try, a really important part is obviously mana, because when you're doing your trades with your high base damages, you're consuming a lot of mana. But if you want to give him a try in the top lane, the Bruiser Taric can work. It's not going to be as good as other things, but it is going to be quite fun, in my opinion. If you want to subscribe, stick around to the channel. I am definitely going to be doing another video where I'm going to put together a couple off-meta champions and just kind of talk about them. And one of them definitely are going to be like probably press the attack Taric with kind of like on hit. Maybe I'm not 100% sure on the exact item setup that is extremely optimized. It is going to come down, again, like I said earlier, with the support Taric setup. It's going to come down to just the game state. But I really think if you want to have some fun, you're just screwing around, maybe you're playing with a low elo friend, try out Taric top. It isn't terrible. I wouldn't recommend taking it into something like Darius, obviously, that has tank shred. That's going to be kind of annoying. But yeah, that will wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, guys, take it easy.